Welcome everyone to another episode of the Will and Rock MMA podcast.
What's up, everyone? So today we're going to talk about Bellator, a couple of news that's popped up as of late, and also we're going to talk about the wrap-up of UFC Fight Night 133, which was an amazing card.
Great card.
It just happened this Saturday, so let's get right to it. The first news, Bellator just finished signing Paul Daly, which makes complete sense since Scott Coker wants to start the Grand Prix welterweight division.
That is such a smart idea. They had such a great turnout for the heavyweight options.
They still are, you mean?
Well, they're still
not over,
right? But to start a welterweight where you have good names, like a Bellator that sometimes has struggled to put good names on cards. Now they have good names to really go welterweight. Their welterweight is pretty stacked.
I mean, we could kind of call them out, right? We're almost 100% that is Rory McDonald, right? 100% that's Douglas Lima.
Now, obviously, what's really confirmed is pretty much Paul Daly.
That's a good point. Paul Daly, Lawrence Larkin, which completely makes sense. He just signed with the UFC not too long ago.
With Bellator, you mean?
I mean, with Bellator, sorry. And you had mentioned about Josh Thompson. I'm not 100% sure. I thought he had retired, but hey, why not? Add him to the mix. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who else could, who else can make this welterweight division, but and already there, it's already stacked.
Yeah, and it allows other fighters who might be fighting at lightweight or something to come down a bit. There's options for Bellator not to put up a good event. Really looking forward to what they're trying to do with this for sure.
Yeah, I mean the heavyweight division has been a hit, and I'm hoping that the welterweight division will be the same because UFC doesn't have a tournament style, and I think tournament styles make more sense than rankings, because who the hell is doing these rankings that don't make any sense? At least now we have a tournament bracket very similar to what just happened with the World Cup, where you could start eliminating people to know who's the real champion, you know?
Right. And it hurts more when you lose a Grand Prix. It hurts more. You know that you're out of something that you're going to have to take a while to come back and fight, versus a ranking that you can lose today but still make a big name for yourself tomorrow, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just two different types of way of viewing it.
The problem with that is, I tell you what it is that at least here we're looking at raw talent going against each other to see who's the best. It's not necessarily who has the bigger mouth who's going to get the main event, right? Well, we could talk about a lot of fighters that have done that in the UFC, but that's besides the point. The point is that this Grand Prix tournament, this welterweight Grand Prix tournament, is going to allow us to know who's the best welterweight in Bellator.
Right.
You know, I think UFC could definitely use that, but who are we the hell to say? But yeah, so that's what's going on Bellator. Let's get straight to the UFC Fight Night 133, which has happened this Saturday, which was, what's it called? The main event was
Junior Dos Santos and the main event.
And Blagov Ivanov. I can't really pronounce his last name. But anyways, the first fight on the main card was Kat Zingano versus Marion Renaud. Kat Zingano really needed this win.
Well, she needed desperately this win. She hasn't won since early 2016, I found out.
Yeah.
Lost her last 4 fights. She needed this fight, and the way she won it is classic way of the way she grinded her out, total out-wrestled her, precise striking. But I will say this, Kat Zingano was at one point the second in her division. She ended up fighting Ronda Rousey, and I said that Kat Zingano had a better chance with Ronda Rousey had she not take that one slip and get submitted in 16 seconds.
Yeah.
And then she just fell off, man. She fell off, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way she emotionally goes into these fights. Mm-hmm. She's already almost speeding going into this fight. She looked more relaxed this time around. She pulled it off. At the end of the day, she pulled off a victory, and hopefully this is many of more to come. Yeah, because she needs this.
I agree with you 100%. I felt like if she would have lost this fight, whether decision or knockout or submission, most likely she would have been cut from the UFC. I'm glad to see Kat Zingano have this victory, and hopefully we could see a lot more of these great performances that she's been putting up.
Hands down.
The next one was Chad Mendes versus Miles Jury. Now, this had a lot of implications going into this fight.
Oh,
right?
yeah, man.
Chad Mendes, as we know, hasn't fought in a while. He's been taking a little leisure now because of a lot of things that's been going on with his life and all that. But I was really looking forward to seeing him fight, but also Miles Jury. He's been coming off great performances as of late. So congratulations to Chad Mendes. Tremendous TKO in the first round. I'm really looking forward to seeing him fight again, because this is a guy that is definitely top 3 or top 4 in his division.
It was vintage Chad Mendes. Fought somebody who was taller first, fought somebody who was longer. His reach was longer. Jury did a great job of trying to keep the distance. Chad Mendes went in, faked going right, and knocked him out with the left hook. And that same left hook he's done throughout his career.
Yeah.
And people to this day can't figure it out, which shows you the level of competition that it is to fight someone like Chad Mendes. Reason why Chad Mendes needed this victory is because you take such a long layoff, you don't know what to expect coming back. And he did just that. And he came back with a knockout in the first round.
What I like about it is the confidence. You know, you continue practicing this over and over.
His
One thing is
aggression,
practicing this, you know, before coming into a fight, but actually putting it to work and actually seeing, you know, take light like it did versus Miles Jury was a tremendous performance. So congratulations to Chad Mendes. He's another fighter that I'm really looking forward to seeing fight next.
Once again, don't forget, someone like Chad Mendes too fought McGregor for the belt. So these people who almost, in this card, almost felt like at one point were number 2 or the best in the world, are now taking like 4 or 5 steps back to start building up. And this is the way to build up, to start building up and making a buzz for yourself, for yourself at this point.
I do agree. The next fight on the card was Nico Price versus Randy Brown.
Oh man!
Another one. Price, tremendous win by TKO in the second round. This could have easily won fight of the night.
The way did you literally see the way it happened, man? He got taken down. He's on his back, and one of his legs is up on the air.
Was it a hammer fist of the fist?
He hammer fist sideways.
Yeah.
He was towards the fence. Brown was towards the fence. Just hammer fist, and just literally nipped him on the temple. Brown goes down, and man, shout out to Herb Dean, end up stopping the fight.
Very impressive. I did see a couple of highlights with that one.
And one of the things that he says is, you know, this kid is ready.
Yeah.
He is ready, man. He proved to you he could beat you in any way possible, shape or form. And for somebody to think that fast on his back and not look for a submission and actually look for a TKO and do it with the intentions of being that.
Yeah.
This kid is he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Off his back, we've never seen nothing like it. That's a lot of power, you know, from the ground to do a hammer fist at all punches.
It was accuracy. Accuracy had everything to do with that victory, man.
Tremendous win by Nico Price. The next fight was Rick Glenn versus Dennis Bermudez. Now, if anybody needed a bigger win besides Katsugano, was Dennis Bermudez.
So Bermudez, coming off 4 losses as well, was making his way up. There was so much buzz with Bermudez coming up, and
right.
Personally, this is my opinion, man. He got robbed. Yeah. Bermudez did more in this fight. Bermudez deserved this victory. He was the aggressor. He landed more, but he really didn't give it 100. Like, he was looking for a unanimous victory, and he left it up to the judges, and that's a huge mistake, man.
I was just about to say that. It's unfortunate when you think you're putting up a great performance, but at the end of the day, you're leaving it to the judges. Who is to say that these judges are looking at the same fight you're looking at? You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate that he took the L. If I was a UFC, I obviously would not cut Dennis Bermudez.
It was too close to call. It was too close to call.
And we got to give this guy another opportunity. But at the end of the day, tremendous performance by Rick Glenn, because I haven't heard from this gentleman at all, actually.
No, me either. I mean, and that was the reason why they put Bermudez into that spot.
And to think that he beat a guy like Dennis Bermudez says volumes about the guy. So congratulations to
that guy has
Rick
a
Glenn.
Freaking chin, bro. Glenn
Absolutely.
has a chin and a half, man.
One of the most impressive victories was Sage Northcutt. Sage Northcutt fought against Zach Otto, who it's the perfect opponent to put against a guy like Sage Northcutt. Enough of the big names, enough of these guys that, you know, most likely are going to beat a guy like Sage Northcutt. You have to give him some guys that he's probably going to be able to win. And no disrespect to Zach Otto, but we saw it in the octagon. We saw a more developed fighter ever since he went to Alpha Male. And we're starting to see him putting things together much easier. His defense is much better this time around. And is one of the most athletic fighters in the UFC right now. And one of the youngest to ever grace the octagons to begin with. I'm looking forward to seeing Sage Northcutt now take a little better competition and see how his performance is going to turn out.
So what I find to be the most interesting part about Sage is that Sage really used his age to his advantage. He won this fight pure off endurance.
Yep.
Slowed down Zach. Zach had very little to offer in the second round, and it looked like easily Sage could have gone an easy 4 more rounds.
Yeah.
This is the shape this kid is in. He is a force to be reckoned with. Best decision he's ever made was to go to Alpha Male.
I agree.
Alpha Male finds a way to, they teach you the right way submissions. All those guys are chokeout artists, but they also show you how to put things together. And that's one thing about that Sage didn't have early in his career, was how to put all that together. And he's slowly doing that, man.
But, back to what you're saying as far as Alpha Male is, you have all these fighters, world-class fighters. I mean, we're talking about a handful of great fighters who are almost in his weight class, if not in his weight class. So you're getting the best practice or training from the best in the world in that division. Congratulations to Sage Northcutt. Tremendous performance, young kid, and we hope to really see you, fight again.
I can't even think. I wish I had somebody that they could be like, he would have called somebody out. And another thing just to add about him is that it's a young guy who has his head on right, never trash talks his opponents, knows that there's still more for him to learn.
And he's hungry,
he's so hungry, and he's always so humble about everything, man.
Tremendous second round knockout by Sage Northcutt. And again, we look forward to seeing him fight again. Last but not least, we had one of almost the third best performance of the night, I would say, Junior Dos Santos versus Blagov Inovov. Can't really pronounce that. Tremendous decision win. Completely won. Outscored every single round. It still doesn't look like the old Junior Dos Santos we used to seeing going into the octagon, but at the end of the day, it was a tremendous win for him to get back into the mix of the heavyweight division.
I was about to say he's been gone for so long.
He's been gone for a while, and who knows? Maybe now he's in the mix of the top 5, and they're probably gonna throw him in there with either.
Think about it. Kane hasn't fought in a long time.
Kane hasn't fought in a long time. We just have Derek Lewis, who just finished beating Francis Gano, which I wouldn't even be mad if Francis Gano gets that fight. You got Alistair Overeem in the mix as well. You have
Fabricio Verdum,
Razor Blades. What's his name?
Well, I don't think Blades should fight him. I think
Blades is another motherfucker, man.
No. I think right now, this is my personal opinion. Blades should go and fight Derek Lewis or Stipe, and if he wins that fight, he should go for the heavyweight belt.
I agree with you 100%. I believe that Blades is the next up-and-coming heavyweight.
Another guy who has it all figured out. It almost seems like his wrestling is up to par. His stand-up could be maybe a little better. That's what I think he needs the most improvement in. But he's a fucking force to be reckoned with, and he's young as hell, man. This is
a young guy.
The UFC needs people like this. The problem with the UFC right now is that you start looking at some of these guys that are in that division. You had to bring Daniel Cormier from freaking lightweight to go fight in heavyweight because there's really not much of a buzz going on there. But I'm so curious to know what Cain Velasquez still has in his tank. I'm looking forward to seeing Junior Dos Santos put, and right now, if you think about it, that mix of the names that we mentioned, any fight is a deadly fight, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So looking forward to seeing who they're gonna put Junior Dos Santos versus next. Junior Dos Santos, even though he's not the same fighter, but he did have a long layoff. His stand-up was legit. His punches were on point. His kicking is so underrated at this point. He's been doing a great job on his feet. So anybody, I think, at this point, in the names that we mentioned, it'll be a great fight for Junior.
Yeah, no, heavyweight division is better stacked than it was a couple of months ago. A few people are coming out of this big layoff, so it's looking forward to watching all these heavyweights compete.
Well, Brock Lesnar too.
Brock Lesnar has been in the mix. Daniel Cormier just winning the heavyweight division, so there's a lot to look forward to. But that is a wrap. We'll catch you guys sometime next week If I'm not mistaken,
The next fight it's
TJ Dillashaw versus
no next fight.
That's not the next fight.
No, it's Alvarez versus Poirier in Canada.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ontario, Canada. So that is July 28th. July 20th, that fight. I can't wait for that, man. Make sure I repost that picture I took with Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah.
And the King of what's it?
King of the Underground.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll catch you guys next week. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, on YouTube. If you have any comments, questions, please leave it on our Instagram. We normally answer as soon as possible, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Peace guys.